Look, 80% of life is hard times. And you got to live the 20% that aren't.
Dan with Dan, Dan with Jen, Dan with Dan, Dan with Dan, Dan with Jen.
Andrew, welcome to 10 with Jen, where I ask 10 out of 10s like yourself 10 questions in around 10 minutes to get to know you in a fun way.
I am excited. I've been watching everyone. And as I just said to you, we just had this conversation where Jen said to me, people are watching for the guests. And I'm like, no way. People watch it for the host and the guests are part of it. But the host, I think you're building up quite a following with this. And I think it's awesome. So.
Oh, thank you. Alrighty, Andrew, a little bit about you. Andrew Miller is a seasoned entrepreneur and expert in digital assets with extensive experience in domain name investments, crypto, and NFTs. As a principal investor and advisor, he has facilitated over $625 million in high-value domain transactions, including the sales of chat.com, home.com, rocket.com, fans.com, universal.com, and candy.com, to name a few. Andrew is a partner at Hilco Digital Assets, the founder of ATM Holdings, author of Random Sunday Thoughts on LinkedIn, and has completed 3 successful exits. He holds a bachelor's degree from Cornell University and is an alumnus of Harvard Business School's Owner-President Management Program. Andrew enjoys football, SoulCycle, DraftKings, and spending quality time with his family. How are you, Mr. Miller?
I'm doing well. You know how it is, year end, right? It's crunch time in domain land.
It sure is. And this is when some of the magic happens too. So
no question.
Alrighty. Are you ready for your 10 with Jen?
I'm ready. Hit me.
Pizza or tacos?
Pizza. All day.
Pizza?
Matter of fact, I just had this conversation with my daughter who's 19. If weight were no issue, I could have pizza for dinner and an ice cream sundae every single day for the rest of my life.
What kind of pizza though?
Thin, crunchy, but I like them all. Deep dish in Chicago. I've never met a bad pizza, even when it's bad, right? And a great pizza is amazing. I still love tacos, but pizza's the answer.
You once told Ronnie J that SoulCycle is where you get your shit together. What role does exercise play in maintaining your health?
I tend to give everyone the benefit of doubt, Jen, like in life, right? You never know, like the waiter's having a bad day at the restaurant and they're not giving you good service, but what's going on in their family life? What's going on in their life? Like I give everybody the benefit of the doubt. And, they say when you go into that SoulCycle studio, for example, with 56 other people, many who I've become extremely close friends with over the years, everyone's got something going on, right? At some point, and you don't know who and what it is. And, everyone's kind of there to kind of let go and regroup their mind and burn some stress and some calories. And I think it's really, it's really important to obviously stay in shape and live long and keep your body healthy and your heart healthy. But for me, it's all about, it's the spiritual side of it. Like it's the only place I don't bring my phone because it's not allowed. It's locked up for 45 minutes. You go in there, you're in the room, you're on that bike, the playlist, the music is loud as shit. I'm like, I don't wear earplugs. A lot of people do. And you're just immersed in it, right? And for 45 minutes, even, you're kind of working through some things in your mind. Sometimes I'm in there trying to figure out what my DraftKings lineup is going to be that Sunday, right? And sometimes I'm in there trying to, manage through if your kid's sick or something's going on in your life. So
you've successfully sold and acquired many highly valuable domain names over the years. What is your number one negotiation tactic?
Can I kind of give a little quick foundation about 2 things? So my dad, knock on wood, is 88 years old and still plays golf with me once a week and still goes to work every day and runs his law firm. He's a master negotiator. And so I've learned negotiation skills from my dad since I was born, basically. Add in the fact that I then, took the great late John Hammond, the most famous negotiation professor in Harvard Business School's history. I think some other guys who are in the domain industry like Merlin and Slavic would agree with this because we all went to the same program at Harvard Business School. John Hammond was a genius. And then, Michael Milken, who I worked with out of college, is the best, negotiator ever. And I think all of that boils down to the first and foremost, and my dad would always say this, if you can't walk away and truly mean it, you can't negotiate. And
Yeah.
whether it's your own domain name or you're representing somebody, you have to be able to represent that and walk away if it isn't where you want it to be and need to be. And the
Yeah.
second that someone senses you're not going to walk away,
Yeah.
forget about it. You've lost all your leverage. So I would say, yeah, that's the ability to walk away is number one. I think the other thing, which I write about a lot in my Sunday Thoughts, is another John Hammond Harvard Business School term, the ZOPA, the zone of possible agreement. You have to have a ZOPA, meaning you can't be like, it's X dollars or we're done. You have to, I spend a lot of time with people I represent saying, what's this zone? Is the zone 2 to 5 million?
Yeah.
What's the zone? You have to be able to have a zone because at the end of the day, a great negotiation is where everybody feels like they won.
That's right.
It's two-way street.
What is the most terrifying animal?
For me or in
Yes.
general? For snakes. Forget about it.
If you could invite any three people, living or dead, real or fictional, to your ultimate dinner party, who would you choose and why?
Two of them are going to be easy.
Yep.
Number one is hand. No questions asked. He's dead. I'm long dead. Is Jerry Garcia.
Yep.
I am a multi-hundred, 120 plus Grateful Dead show attendee, hardcore Deadhead. My religion is Grateful Dead, but the lyrics of the Grateful Dead music. Number two is kind of lame, but this is the sports fan in me. I'm not really a athlete worshiper, but and I have met this person and have interacted with them a few times. Is Tom Brady because. And that's simply, look, I am a diehard sports fan. I grew up as a poor Patriots fan, watching terrible teams as a young kid, and I was able to go to experience arguably the most powerful dynasty in all sports in the history of sports, led by Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, with my son from age 5 to age 20. We went to every game, every Super Bowl. My dad was there for about half of them before he kind of started to watch on TV. My best friend and his son, and the reason for all that was arguably Tom Brady, and it would just be amazing to have him at my dinner party.
Yeah.
Who would be third? Oh boy. I think maybe my grandmother on my dad's side, because she passed away when I was very young. And,
Yeah.
but, I remember her, but not, I remember her vividly from an imagery standpoint, but I was in like second grade and, my dad's my hero. So like, I'd like to know more of where his mom, where he came from, right? And
Yeah.
I'd love to have a chance to understand more about that history. So I think that would be my third. Plus, she would be, very comical to see her coexist with Jerry Garcia.
What is your most unforgettable Deadhead experience?
Okay. So I'm going to give a 1B and a 1A. So, as someone who went to some epic Dead shows, too many to name, over many years, I went to the Sphere with my son this summer for 3 Dead and Company shows in May. And even though it wasn't the Grateful Dead, it was Dead and Company.
Yeah.
That was like being at that event at the Sphere with my son was something I can't even describe. It has to be Grateful Dead. It can't be Dead and Company for my 1A. So the Dead played 3 shows in San Francisco, the 29th, 30th, 31st, every year. They played a New Year's Eve show, and I finally went in the first time in like 1990 with some buddies, and sitting in there watching the Grateful Dead, taking in the New Year's. I told my wife when we got married, I said, I just want to let you know, there's nothing we're ever going to do that's going to be exciting for me New Year's Eve that's going to ever live up to what I did in 90, 91, and 92 in San Francisco. So we're just going to have to treat it as like, we're going to be one of these people. It's like, it's an overrated night. Taking in a new year in San Francisco with Deadheads and the Grateful Dead is indescribable moment of life.
What is the biggest wager you've ever placed And what was the outcome?
These were the days where we would bet on everything. We would bet on like who would cough more in the day, right? And there was this one window, single, working on Wall Street, and there was and I'm by the way, I'm a diehard animal lover. So I want to qualify this. I wish I knew what I knew now then, but we went to the dog races
Yeah.
and the horse races. There was one window where we went, I'm not exaggerating, I think we counted 73 days in a row and nights in a row. And we went to this track, dog track. And the reason I don't like it is because it's so cruel to the dogs. And it's now outlawed here in Massachusetts. And thank God. But I didn't realize that in my 20s. And there was one afternoon, we were working Tuesday afternoon, and they had matinees. We usually went after work, but they had matinees, and it was pouring, torrential pouring rain. So we always had this thing, you got to run down in the rain and look for the fat dogs who won't slip in the mud and watch them as they come out, find their number, and then bet on them. So this was a pouring rainy day in the middle of trading stocks for our living, and we're like, let's go. It's pouring, we got to go. So we got in the car, we flipped over for the lunchtime matinee at the dog track, and we stood there and we saw like the heaviest dogs coming out that were like, we have to bet. And, you know, I believe we each made a $25,000 wager on that race on the heaviest dog that day. And did not end well.
As a parent to adult children, what would you do if one of them brought home a partner that you're not exactly fond of?
You got to let them figure it out. If it got really scarily far along, then, you know, I would try my best to educate them in a way that, you know, look, the more you tell your kids no, the more they say, the more you say, you know, one thing, they're going to go the other way. So if you tell them I don't like them, they're going to spite you and they're going to come back and like them more. So I would let them figure it out on their own. And, you know, we'll see what happens someday. I'm sure I'm going to have to.
You're stranded on an island with the Sherpas. Who would you eat first? Oh, gosh.
I watch Survivor, right? And I watch
Yeah.
a lot, you know, and it's like, all right, you know, there's so much strategy in who you vote off the island.
Yep.
And, you know, sometimes it isn't, you know, sometimes you got to get rid of the nice, kind one who, you know, behind the scenes is going to win this thing if you don't get rid of them early.
Yeah.
So I hate to say it, my answer is you.
Oh, no.
Yeah. I'm going to roll the dice that you were the one who would be least likely to self-destruct.
If you could go back in time and relive one memory from your childhood, what would it be and why?
There was one game that stands out to me, of the too many to name, but it was a basketball Celtics. We're here in Boston. We're here at center court of Boston Garden today. So I believe it was 1986 and the Celtics, or 1984, and the Celtics had a championship seventh game to see who wins it all against the Lakers, maybe 86. And I came home from college, where I was in Cornell, drove home for the game, and I went to the game with my dad and my two brothers, four of us, my late brothers. And so 1986, I guess I was 21, 20 years old. They were like 18 and 16. And it was an amazing win. Like the Celtics won this, you know, beat the Lakers, beat LA. It's a huge deal here. And you know, I remember it being, my brothers went through a lot. They were born critically ill. You know, they were lucky to live past 5, and then they went to college and kind of lived relatively normal lives, and then, you know, developed complications in their 30s and 40s. But this was just like, I remember this was them at their best. They were like the healthiest they had been. Some of the experimental things that worked, turned the corner, you know, everything was great. Like, it was just like, I remember it being this moment of like, we're all here together, everybody's good. Like, and I would, you know, you always want to relive those moments where, you know, look, Jen, I think you'll agree with this. I tell this to my daughter. I just told this to my daughter, not in a serious conversation, but she's calling me, you know, because she's in the middle of finals and she's having the hardest time. And I'm like, look, 80% of life is hard times, and you got to live the 20% that aren't. Unfortunately, that's how we roll, right? Like, I wish I could say like 80% is something happening, right? And you have to like you can't miss those amazing times where it's smooth sailing, right? Sometimes that's days, sometimes that's years, sometimes that's weeks, different things measured at. And I just remember that day, like when you asked me this question, is being a day that was just like awesome. Like
Yeah.
everything was awesome. We didn't think about sicknesses or we just were like, holy shit, the Celtics just took down the Lakers. And we were all there. And there were other moments later where we were all there too. Super
Yeah.
Bowls but this was like this one stands out to me.
Andrew, thank you for your time today. You've now been 10 with Jen.
Loved it. Loved doing it. I mean, I am an impatient person who has, somehow learned to apply it to this business over the long haul because I am not a
Yeah.
patient person. I want to win now. I want results now. I want
Yeah.
instant gratification, but that's not going to be successful in this business.